Let's see. Does anything happen if I approach the place? Oh.
Whether free will is preserved or fate foretold is stalled, your choice is the fulcrum on which the fate of the world is balanced. The difference between peace and violence sways the scales. Choose wisely, old one.
Uh-huh. Is it a button? Nope, just a light. Oops, fast travel mode. Trying to tell, was the door open? It almost looked like it was open. No, it's just very recessed. What is going to happen if I approach? Oops, can I put the spore in here? I should spacebar a little more. Nope, it's just overgrown. Can I approach this? Still can't approach that. I think that might be this... I don't know. It's maybe the secret portal, but it feels like that'd be a little goofy. It highlights stuff as being interactable, but I can't actually interact with that stuff. That's kind of strange. I know that's because some stuff gets removed from interactions over time, but... I can open this. Oh. Huh. No. Wait. Oh, I didn't realize this was a separate document. Let's see, 4231. So I was going to see if I could do that with plants. I didn't realize this is a second document. What? Important. Must do this before Orion's processing initiation. I thought that was the name of the book. Like, I mean, not, you know, weird name. I thought that was the label for the book. I didn't know that this was a separate note that I was supposed to read. Once you have lowered the Neyyah and the electromagnetic charge has been detected in the heater chamber through the sensors I have set up there, the bunker teleportation system will be active, and when you arrive at the Plasco Shrine, Orion will initiate the processing. I believe this will be the final test meant for the old one, but I don't want to get stranded out there and accidentally get caught up in the trap she has laid out. The portal back to Neyyah portals won't work, and the Pelska portal will be inactive. You must remember the combinations for the bunker teleportation system and be armed with the correct Neyyah spore. Otherwise, well, I dread to think what might happen. Well, let's see what I can think of to do in the moment, and if I'm wrong, get a funny ending. It's 4231, right? Yes. 4231. So, mushroom, flower, flitzu plant, Neyyah plant. That's gonna be hard to remember. That's a bad sign. Okay, what was the last? Neyyah plant. It's the big open one. Oh! Oh. I was fine. I just hadn't reached it yet because there's so many of them. And then these, so I have to do it via the constellations now, which are over here. Four is unknown. 3 is left hook. 2 is right hook. Is it 3, 2, 1? 2, 3, 1. Damn it. 2 is right. Yeah. I think we don't know 1 either. Okay, so I don't know 2 of the numbers involved with this. Shit. Ba-ba-ba-ba-ba. I feel like I made a breakthrough recently for one of these. This might be 1. 5, then like 10. Yep. So I spun the one that's supposed to be 4 and that gave me 4 because I cycled through them. Okay, cradle awaiting spore. Oh, this takes a spore. They keep sneaking up on me with these doors. Okay, that's my bad. Spore?
Passing has begun, and the barrier has been lifted. An alarm has been sent to the Ronaldo Temple on Olujay. Smolax now has access to Neyyah, and thanks to Vamir's device, he will arrive in the bunker shortly. Thank you for what you've done. My people now have a chance to bring new life to this altar. To Neyyah.
Not even a smile. Just like... so deadpan. Like, alright, well, this is the culmination of so much good news, right? So he arrives inside the bunker. Do I need to flee to here? No. Should I run away? Look inside. Oh.
Won't you work?
The trap.
Come on! Come on! Vamir put you up to this. That man, he never ceases to amaze me. Karelta Volka lives. Do you hear his call? Like I do. His machine, breath, beckons to us through the Laflomian portal to Bragnarian, our true home. Your home. The Fazoltians were greedy. They would have drained us dry. I sacrificed their civilization to protect your bloodline. Being of the Benoxy bloodline, you must feel something. Earth and Bragnarian. The same. In time, your kind will become the most magnificent creatures ever to have lived.
Teleportation imminent.
Teleportation? So Vamir must have discovered the whereabouts of the the fool! You must stop him! The Quilivian cannot be reopened! It must be destroyed! In Karelta Volka's name, I hope you burn! You and the filth you will unleash! No! No!
Oh, I thought they were going to teleport the entire building away. So many types of teleporters. Well, that's bad news for that guy. Do I go up here now? Where do you go next, actually? Like we won. I guess I haven't escaped yet, yeah. And it's not over here? So when did he mention the secret portal? And now that I've won, maybe it doesn't need to be a secret portal. Maybe just let me go. Maybe just come out and tell me where to go because I helped you. And everyone's safe now. And the guy you're hiding from is gone. If my main avenues of leaving Neyyah were blocked off, then I would need an emergency escape plan. An orange Kula Paeta is required for the Marrow gas system I have set up at Ludwig Tower. To keep it protected, I use a unique red paste coating, which needs to be taken off before I can use it. This can be done easily with some good old-fashioned Fezaltian cleansing. The Paletish clan will be my side in this task. I know it. The old one shall arrive soon. Okay, so... time to head back there, I guess. Have we never used that portal that's right there? Isn't that a portal? I thought those kinds of things were portals. Let's see, you're a shortcut back. Not there. I'm not sure why the Pelska... This is a weird element of the game, actually. Like, genuinely, I don't know why they'd use this language here. Why isn't the Pelska portal just still an inventory item like always? Like, I activated it, but it should have just stayed in my inventory the whole time. Because, I'm still using it by having to essentially use it on specific objects in the environment. It would be less confused, because the Pelska portal just doesn't... This isn't like a menu with functionality. It would be functioning the same thing as me going get on the Pelska slots. So like, why not just do that, right? Like just get on the Pelska slots with the Pelska portal in my inventory, which was there already. What's this? This is just weird syntax. That's not the right term for it, probably. But like the it's a weird way of executing on the verb in the game. That contradicts how most of your interactions work, because it is an environmental interaction. The fact that it's in the menu makes me think that it was meant to be something you had more freedom to use at one point, and it maybe broke the game a bit. So they were like, you can use it in these specific locations, and then they left it as a menu option or something, because it doesn't really make much sense the way it's implemented, but it feels like it probably made sense at some point to them, and then they maybe didn't reassess. Because as a player, you're like, the Pelska portal's in your inventory the whole game, and then when you activate it, it leaves your inventory, despite working like an inventory item. With the same way they use inventory, where they use adventure interactions in general. So here's the Pelska portal chamber. Is there something I can do here to... Oh. Okay. Oh, geez. Time of day. Okay. When have we ever needed to use time of day? Never, right? We just kind of learned what it meant. Marrow gas system portal activation code. Time of day times 4, red, blue, green, yellow. Okay. So there's a correlation between time of day and these 4 colors, which we have also correlated as being 4 locations. Red, blue, green, yellow. But also what? Hello? Fuck. Oh no, I've only found 2 of these. Okay, well I have blue and red. So red is on the left here. I think blue is all the way up. Yeah, red is on the left. Blue is straight overhead. Oh god. Okay, what are my looming mysteries, right? Where is that? That might be where the last one is, or one of the other ones. Once I have 3 of them, I can spin the last one. So I don't have to find every secret. I just need to find one more secret. Okay. I think I can do this. I think it's the table on the beach? But I don't know, I don't understand the table on the beach. Because I found it. It has a button. But then when I click on the button, nothing happens. So is there a way to divert power to the table on the beach? Where was the table on the beach? Where was the table on the beach? Maybe. My go-to is the idea that it's on the Feltzy Island. Felazzi Island? So bad at Felitsu Island. Pinorvia Point. I found that too late, right? Isn't that the place I was just in? Scarlatti Towers is tiny and doesn't go outside. Nyashko Pools don't have anything like that. Spore Docks is also a tiny location. So it's either in Glorfiak Mines or Flitsu Island, which is admittedly the 2 biggest zones. I know I discovered it relatively early in the playthrough. I'm gonna try the mines, because when I think of a beach on Flitsu Island, I think of the one by the water tank, and that one does not have a table by it. Here's a beach. Is this the one? Yeah, there's the table. Is this the table that has that symbol on it? Yes. And there's this button. Why? I'm just gonna accept this. Alright, so it's top right. I don't know why it worked. But I have done 1 million things since last time I was here, so it's not that crazy. Okay. Oh, there's the friggin' button on this one. It was here. This is the symbol for this island, and that's the camera pointing at that thing. So that's where this local one was too. What happened to this puzzle? Didn't I solve it by accident? Because like I was just inputting the ones I knew so far, and then when I slightly clicked on one of the other ones, it instantly solved the whole thing because one of the other ones was... It was like I was moving one of them, which was the 3rd digit, so it shouldn't have been solvable yet, but the 4th digit was just coincidentally already correct, I guess, was what happened. Not that I'm really hungry for that kind of pixel hunt. Like, there's puzzles where you're using available information, and there's puzzles where you explore and figure out how all the systems work. And then there's puzzles where you're just like, oh, I have to pixel hunt for the one remaining thing that I haven't seen. So I'm very grateful that I already had that table in mind, and the screenshot pretty clearly indicates that it's probably related to this kind of concept. Because I was just recently thinking about that screenshot. I think I talked about that where I was like, that looks like the series of arrows, the series of corners we're dealing with, series of triangles. But I was also waiting for this puzzle to ever come up. I'm not totally sure why the button, why it now opens, but I have like turned 1 million systems on, so one of them must relate to that table. It's a weird abandoned table, so it's relatively obscure how it relates to things around it. Head back up here. Okay, so we found this successfully. This is yellow. Yellow's top left. Did I forget immediately? Yellow was 4th, right? Yes. And then I can just spin this one. Yep. That's how that works. I don't even know if it's like intentional or unintentional, that system. I mean, it's obviously programmed on purpose, but I'm wondering if they're like trying to be forgiving by being like, these systems, if you get 3 out of 4 digits for each code, then the last one is free. Because it is relatively free to the point where like it'd be hard to even put them legitimately because it automatically inputs just from you trying to click on it at all. Alright, portal activation imminent. Mayorta cap unlocked. So journal does seem to indicate that the secret portal is in the Mayorta system. Do I press this again? Hi. Oh yeah, that's the portal I expected at the beginning of the game. It always looked like a portal, and it clearly is. And it's the same type of portal we summoned outside the temple that one time. It also looks like what is back at the shrine I was just at. So like, can I summon it there too? I think I have ideas on how to get bad endings too.
In the name of Fazalta, you have saved Olujay. You've brought renewed hope to my people and washed away a hideous sickness. After all the suffering it's caused, the Laflomian portal deserves to rust away into nothing. I vow that our home will never again fall prey to the filthy hands of Kehelta Volka. With Smolax banished, we can work towards a free and happy future. Come on. Let's power up the portal. But do you want to go home? The Quilivion may be within our reach. Let's liberate the Fazaltians. Let's bring them back to Neyyah.
Is it a choice or ooh, what's happening? Oh, then it ends. Huh. Interesting that it's not a choice to go back or not. But also, like, how are they going to send... I admittedly just didn't really keep up with a lot of the story. Well, the mechanics of the setting were harder than the story. But wasn't the whole point that they wanted a portal to go home? So if they can send me home, can't they send everyone else? Well, it's a time portal. That's weird to think about, right? Like they were putting so much work into successfully taking everybody back home to their home planet of Earth, but in their timeline. And that was what they were working towards. But the premise of the game is that we somehow got there from Earth through time, which sounds harder than just going back to and from Earth, right? Is to also time travel to and from Earth? I don't... I 100% may have missed something about a lot of that stuff, but I'm just like, what is going on there? Like... I've been a little uncharitable, I've been a bit uncharitable about it, but like I notice a lot of comparisons to be made between the plot of this and the plot of Riven and Mist and so on, which like obviously you expect some level of similarity because it's clearly directly inspired by those games. But like when a game is directly inspired by those games, you expect it to kind of be like doing that in ethos and in design, but maybe not in story. But the story takes... I've noticed so many elements that match up directly with Mist and Riven, almost one-to-one. So I almost wonder if the story is kind of bending back over itself just to justify also doing the thing from Myst where the protagonist is a blank slate earthling in this foreign space. Like, not just a person dumped in here that has to figure it all out on the fly because they're not from here, but specifically a person from modern Earth. Like, they are functionally the player being subbed in, which is different. I don't know. Because here it's tougher to justify. In Myst, it's because the linking book fell through to, I think, Arizona or New Mexico. And so you just used it like any other linking book. The biggest contrivance there is the somewhat strange idea that the starry expanse beneath Riven is seemingly above Earth, or that rift is above Earth. I've never been clear on whether or not the starry expanse is literally just a portal above Earth, or if it's like an abstract void, like interdimensional void, and it just so happens that if you hop in that void from Riven, you end up landing in like New Mexico. I've also never been clear on how you survive the fall, to be clear. So if we're really going to go into it, there's a lot of stuff I love about Riven, but I've always found the ending confusing and strange because as the player, it's confusing that the good ending of Riven is that you jump in a big hole that seems to kill you. And you're supposed to just intuit the fact, like, no, it's because you're the guy, you're doing what happened at the beginning of Myst, and in that confusing intro that famously people were not sure what happened in. Like, obviously we know the intent of it, but I'm saying, like, people that encountered it were like, what am I watching? And so it was never clear what you're accomplishing there. So that's always been a strange contrivance, but it's probably a bigger contrivance to be like, so we teleported you through space and time via a completely unique expression of technology that hasn't come up anywhere else in this process, in a narrative where people are defined primarily by how they are restricted in space and trying to use specific portals to escape things or to find things or to trap people in things, and also very specifically seemingly are failing to make a portal back to Earth, the place that they ripped us from somehow. They might have hand-waved it as some kind of level of like, it's the magic from the Pelskas or something along those lines, but it does feel strange that I'm from Earth in the first place if the whole premise is people trying to get to Earth specifically, and not the way that in, for example, in the Myst games, they're generally trying to find their way to Denis, which they don't necessarily know. Not everyone necessarily knows is on Earth, but, or in Gen's case, Gen's specifically just trying to escape Riven at all. Gen very well might have colonized Catherine's shelter planet if he got a hold of that either, but he didn't know about that either. So he was just trying to escape Riven because it was just a prison. Getting anywhere besides Riven was more or less a goal because it was dying. Because that's just the limitations of linking books, is if you lose them, you can't really get back to the right place. It's kind of terrifying part of that setting. But here we just have portals. And admittedly, once you have a setting that has to define 9 different types of portals, things get really hard to follow. I think for basically anyone, right? Like, I feel like 9 portals is probably overkill for almost anyone in the entire audience. They even had 2 types of cameras. Like, they couldn't even just have cameras be cameras. There was 2 types of cameras. And you're like, huh. You need a very specific encyclopedia brain to follow some of this stuff at some point. So overall, it was a neat little puzzle game to poke around in and see the settings in. I don't know if I fully grasped the story because of some of these things that feel like holes to me, but I could be missing something. And a lot of that was obscured by the fact that the text is so jargonful and dense with the jargon in a way that is not a matter of people being like, gamers these days need to have their hands held or whatever. It's like, no, there's just ways to write things more elegantly to make it like easier to parse what you're reading on some level. Not in a way where you understand everything about the entire game immediately. It's not about just giving you all the answers, but just being able to like have a takeaway from each thing you read on either emotional level or intellectual level. Like, okay, this is the big takeaway that I got, but there were hints about these things and hints at world building. but instead a lot of the writing is so parenthetical in its thoughts, where it keeps having these tangents and nested thoughts, while also being so jargonful that you genuinely, it takes work just to try to parse what the subject and like what the goal is of each individual text, like what it's trying to convey as its primary thought, let alone all of the spikes and growths all over it that it's trying to also fit in. And then the mechanics of the gameplay, it felt like there was a little less variety in the like visual style of things that you're kind of fucking around with. As far as like, I think about how like in Myst games, sometimes it'd be like, oh, here's the puzzle where you're like getting these weird marbles to roll along this path and stuff like that. Like there'd be like much more varied and strange visuals and much more emphasis on what the meaning of each individual puzzle for that setting, and there'd be more theming, like, oh, this thing catches lightning or whatever. This one, so much of this game is you walking into a similar circular tower building via a ladder or door, getting to the same eyeball computer, and then having to enter a code or put a paida in it, or both, and remembering to open the latches and check the levers, and relatively similar inputs so consistently that it's hard to really have a memorable, like, it's not that memorable what you're doing from moment to moment, so you're kind of just disoriented. And then you're almost always triggering something remotely in a way where it's just very difficult, without memorizing every manual and interpreting every piece of terminology. It's very difficult to tell what any of the effects are of any of the things you're doing. Sound off in the comments, definitely. I'd like to hear how other people handled this game, either by watching the playthrough, or by playing it themselves, what like the average encounter is, because I'm curious to see how often people are kind of lost and just kind of pressing some buttons to see what, because like, the game does communicate you're making progress at least. Even via the consoles just turning green and whatnot. But it was kind of just bouncing around between different worlds and kind of poking at it. It's definitely the kind of thing that I compare to, like, I said it before, I think, but like trying to untie a really big, dense knot, and you're just kind of like tugging at the various threads, trying to figure out which one will come loose and so on, until it kind of all unravels, and you're like, okay, I did it, whoa. And like each thing that you loosen makes something else loosen. And like, many non-linear puzzle games will have an element of that, in that you will be functionally doing that regardless of whether or not it's full of you being full of intent or not. But I'm saying like the metaphor of trying to untangle something, that mess, like a yarn ball of fucked up tangled like shoelaces or something, the idea of that kind of mess is that you're kind of would be somewhat aimlessly tugging on things, trying to find what's loose next and so on. So it's more picking at something and less actively and consciously solving puzzles with your knowledge in a way that you would kind of hope, I think, on some level. Although I do think that people do kind of do that to some level on every Myst game, is you kind of always poke at some stuff, being like, it's intuitively thinking this might do something. But I think you tend to be a little more aware of what's going on some level, and what's related to what. Like, just thinking about Myst 1 alone, not even going to any of the Myst worlds, but just the Myst island. There is a puzzle you need to solve in order to turn on the island, and then there's an individual puzzle for each of the individual ages that you can teleport to in order to gain access to that book, and then go into the age, then go in and do a puzzle in each age, and so on. And the style of that thing was much more varied and navigable, because every individual puzzle to enter a Myst age was completely unique in like style and presentation compared to the other ones around them. And then you essentially often had what was functionally like one big puzzle for the entire age, and that was kind of oftentimes all that there was to it. It's a surprise when playing Myst is how relatively not dense it is with puzzles. Like each age, sometimes ages only have one puzzle total that kind of spans the age. It's kind of an observation thing of putting information together from across the chapter. But like going to a themed location, solving a puzzle that spans that location, and then leaving after having solved a special puzzle to get into that place, and then you're doing that all for the collective goal of putting those things together. Even at that point, even people that don't fully understand the story of Myst as a whole are going to at least understand what the puzzles they're solving are, and individually be able to separate them in their heads as memorable moments in their journey of playing the game. But also, the ending, which has several bad endings and one good ending, is also a little test of like, aha, have you understood what's going on in the game though? And you might not, but if you get a bad ending, they're like, oh shit, that's what's going on. And so you have the revelation, then you turn around and do the obvious-ish thing to pivot to the other thing. You know, at which point you get the other bad ending, because that's a trap. They trap you into getting a bad ending and then being like, oh, maybe the other thing's the bad ending, the good ending, and it's not. They're both bad endings. And there's, you have to find the secret third thing. But like you're kind of intuitively iterating on that, realizing what causes the bad endings and so on, because it's tied to character motivations and so on. This game doesn't even for a second entertain the idea. And I know I am just relentlessly comparing this to the Myst series, but it's really hard not to when it evokes Myst every second of the game the way that it does. But like this game does not entertain for even a second the idea that maybe Small Axe is right, or maybe he's all right. Like maybe he's fine. Maybe you can reason with him. Maybe we can cooperate. Like he doesn't try to turn you, or in any real way. I mean, there's a gesture at it in that cutscene at the end. But he never gets to meet you until you've literally already trapped him in the death cutscene, where he's gonna go away now. I guess he's not necessarily dead, but you know what I mean. He's gone forever, functionally. When you meet Small Axe, which you don't meet him a single time in person until the ending, you never communicate with him directly whatsoever. When you do meet him, he's already doomed and you can't make any choices. And then when you do meet I can never remember his name ever. But when you meet the good guy that set you against Small Axe, you also don't get any choices there. Like he doesn't give you a choice in a practical sense. Like the player doesn't get to choose whether or not they want to go home or if they want to go on future adventures with Neyyah. And given that the whole point is that you are playing as you, and it's you as a self-insert, the fact that you don't get choices is a little weird in that context. That stuff's a bit weird. It's strange to compare them. And I find it one of the first red flags I kind of had, besides reading an entire journal and being like, I don't know what I just read. I'm so sorry. I feel so bad. Because I feel really bad whenever I don't fully get something when I read it on camera. Because I'm doing a playthrough and I might have ADHD. That's a whole story going on there where I spent a year trying to pursue a diagnosis and it didn't work out and so on. So sometimes it's just very hard to engage with certain texts that aren't engaging me directly. But I've also reread these texts and still I'm like, what am I reading half the time? It's less Myst journals and more Elden Ring lore at some point where you're like, I can't put this together. I can't piece this all together. But the first red flag I had besides that stuff was the fact that the game has an inventory, because famously Myst does not have an inventory. So to evoke Riven this strongly, but also to have this big giant inventory grid is a bit odd, because that's just kind of not one of the somewhat defining things. I think this was true about Myst, and I think it was true about Riven as well. You just don't have an inventory in those games. You specifically, it's all about fiddling with the stuff around you, which this game could have gotten away with, because relatively few inventory things needed to come up the way that they did. There are some contrivances where Myst goes unnecessarily far sometimes to avoid getting an inventory. But it is kind of part of the style of the game, so diverting there always was kind of at risk of turning it into more of a point-and-click adventure game which are more famously full of like more moon logic. I think it sidesteps that though by it kind of being a token inventory. So it was less, I was worried going in, but it became less of an issue because overall, I cannot believe I've beaten this game and I keep forgetting the words. Not Peoltish, the Paitas. The Paitas are literally a super telegraph thing of like, this only goes in this one object every time. Just put the correct one in it every time. So that wasn't really a thing. And then whenever you find stuff that the inventory item's going, it usually shows a gear on the screen indicating that you can put something there. I feel like not always. There were some inconsistencies where spacebar to highlight stuff doesn't always work. And trying to interact with the environment is weird and inconsistent sometimes. An example that I would point out is that there's a part where I put the mushrooms in that thing to highlight that, to bring the lights on in the dark room. And I intuitively, that was a moment where I did understand, like, oh, the mushrooms are used as a light source. Because the stuff has told me multiple times. And I'm maybe I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure that I did try to put them in and it didn't work, I think. And I think the reason for that was because I zoomed in too far. But the fully zoomed in view doesn't look fully like a, look at this emblem, this is what it says icon. It looks like a, oh, you've zoomed in enough to use this device now screen. So it looks like you're supposed to zoom into that distance to use the mushrooms. Zooming out to use the mushrooms is actually unintuitive because the camera angle doesn't focus enough on the emblem. You have a clear enough view of the holster for the mushrooms that makes you think you can put them in there. But then you can't, because you have to be on the previous screen to do that. And that's like a weird moment there where you're like, that doesn't work, right? No. It makes you think that it's wrong and you have to find a different solution, even though you correctly identified, oh, put mushroom in the device that says mushrooms on it. It makes me think, oh, there must be this is partly like a synergy with, like, it's like a compounding effect with how the game has so many things you have to do remotely. I'm like, oh, I must have to go somewhere else to turn this thing on, I guess, before I can do this. Which is unfortunately just really baked into the game. There's so many things where the only way to do something, if you want to use a device, is to go somewhere else that has no intuitive or visual connection to that device, and then go there and solve a puzzle or put a thing into it or put a code into it. And then now in this other remote separate location, this thing will now function. So you're constantly going back and forth across the map, but for reasons that are really hard to justify or remember, because the devices and consoles are so repetitive and similar, and you're going back and forth across the same locations a bunch of times. And it's very hard to chart how these individual machines all relate to each other. And kind of just confusing why a civilization would make such a convoluted system that makes it so hard to use any device at any location ever when it's functionally a factory whose job was originally a whole civilization unified in their need to create Peoltas? I feel like I forgot the name again. And then was replaced by a colonial civilization that is unified in their mission to create to power the portal to go home. So like both versions of civilization there are a entire group of people that has no apparent divisions, all unified to make one goal happen. So why is it so hard to do anything here? I get that he stole the power sources, so I have to put them all back in. But the part that everything about the system is laid out the way it is feels like it's just designed to make things more complicated, to be a puzzle game and not to be a thing that people would reasonably do in designing this place necessarily. And it's seemingly all justified via a very complicated system of, here are the 9 systems of portals we've invented and the 7 different power sources we've invented and all these different things that like technically explain the behind the scenes technology of what you're doing, but seem to always somehow manifest in another console where you put a colored ball into it, then put a password in, and then flip a lever to make something happen way off screen somewhere in a way that's not easy to follow. I understand that I played the game on what is like we could basically call hard mode, and that I was not letting the game guide me constantly about what to do. Because there's apparently 2 easier difficulties or modes where there's more hand-holding and guidance. But you would want the game to be completely solvable via just looking around the environment and reading all of the notes and journals and seeing all the cutscenes. Any additional level of the game jumping in to be like, hey, here's what's going on actually, would be kind of disappointing. I imagine that the easiest mode might have essentially like quest prompts just explaining what to do next all the time is what I would imagine, because I don't know what else it would really functionally be. I don't know. I haven't played it on easier difficulty, so I don't know what the experience is. But overall, it's an interesting experiment. It's cool to see someone try this hard to make this kind of thing. The specific form that the writing took and the puzzle design took is just a bit of a rough patch where you're kind of hoping for more memorable moment-to-moment experiences, more varied visuals, and more stuff themed around that stuff. Like, I'm more interested when I'm doing stuff like, oh, look, a minecart. Like, oh, this is different. Send the minecart away, put the chest in the minecart, send it back. Oh, I got a key. Moments like that are way more interesting than these other bits, although it's also so focused on teleportation that you do have to be like, where the fuck did that just go? Which is a bit of a dilemma at some point. Just how frequently almost every interaction is about doing something that affects something very far away, as opposed to something that's just like over there in the same setting. So yeah, that's my overall take on a lot of this stuff, honestly. It's good effort. I'm gonna load my save now. Oopsie. Ugh. Whoa, what's it doing? No, I don't want to. Okay, I'm gonna close the game now before I delete my save by accident, because this is freaking out on me. Okay, I just did the password again. So it's ready for a spore. So the question is, what happens if I put a bad spore in? No. Processed spore. Wait, am I at the wrong screen? Currently awaiting spore. Oh, now it says it. Okay. Withered spore? It does do it. I guess I had to look at the other screen again or something? I don't know what happened there.
You chose the wrong spore. As a result, the passing will not come to fruition. Fazolta is lost, and Neyyah along with it.
Why would anyone do that?
My oh my, Vamir has been busy. Who do we have here? On blast. From my Arelta can tranquilize even the strongest Maleva cat. A creature like you poses no threat to me. I look forward to finding out where you came from.
I guess he did say tranquilizer, so I'm technically not dead
So
yet.
sorry to wake you. Your futile exploration must have been exhausting. You look tired. Forget Neyyah. Vamir was a fool to think he could hide you there. A brave fool, but a fool nonetheless. I warned Vamir against meddling with Fazolta. Towers in ruins, lords destroyed. A fate you soon will share. He thought he could change the fate of Olujay, the fate of my people, by finding the Quilivian. I have been searching for it all this time, and he knew! Vamir's folly has only brought him to a deeper and darker place than this cell. He led me right to it. The Quilivian is mine. I can almost hear Vamir now. In the name of Fazolta! In the name of Fazolta! But don't worry. I'll take care of Vamir's family. I'll take care of everyone. If anyone from the Inceptus B Incarnate has survived, I will silence them. You'd be surprised what Galliphium and a couple of cells can accomplish. And soon, my people will return to Bragnarian. Corelta Volca awaits. I will destroy the Quilimian.
I'm the bad guy. More or less the summarizing thought there. I'm tickled by his leather armor because I think I've seen that exact armor sold at like online stores that otherwise sell a bunch of like gay harnesses. It's pretty much like the setup. Here we go. Go right back in there. So what happens if I pick the other one? I'm tickled by the fact that she was like, "What are you, stupid?" It's time for a careful choice, Ancient One. You must do the one thing. Just don't... The one thing you're obviously here to do, that we came here to do. It's time to do it now. Why did you do that instead of the thing? What? Well, I guess everything's fucked now. There we go. It doesn't always show up. Alright, so, processed. Is this one gonna be the same? I'm not sure why does he get me, by the way? I'm not clear on that, to be honest. I thought he was gonna teleport into the trapped room.
My oh my. Vamir has been busy. Who do we have?
Okay, so this one's just the same.
So sorry to wait.
Yeah, it's just the same. Okay, so both bad spores are the same. Which more or less makes sense, but I was just curious because there's more than one option. I don't really get, and I could be just missing something, why does he teleport behind me and capture me? He teleports into the other place and gets sent away when I pick the right spore. But does the spore do that? I thought it was just the fact that we booby-trapped the spot he wants to teleport to. But then again, I am kind of missing a bit on what the passing is to some extent, I'll admit. So is the passing tied to the specifics of where his teleport happens to go to? Does it control that somehow? I'm not super clear. Let's see, can I remember this on the fly? Bunker teleportation system console activated. Important Neyyah spore required for completing successful teleportation. Okay. So having the teleporter go there at all requires a Neyyah spore. And if I set that up incorrectly, then him teleporting there won't work. That is what I'm doing with the spore, I guess. So it seems this is fully locked then. Okay, so there's only one good ending, one bad ending, I think. I was gonna see what happens if you just escape. Because it would have been cool to have access to a selfish ending where you escape the moment you have access to the escape portal. And you're like, yeah, fuck these guys. Because you're just like not invested in their overall world, but you just want to go home. Because it's technically what some people's motivation would be, is just to escape. And so like it'd be akin to like how with Atris and everything, you can get the bad ending with one brother, you can get the bad ending with the other brother, you can get the good ending where you bail Atris out, but you can also get the bad ending where you trap yourself with Atris by just not going into the book without actually solving the surrounding stuff. And in a similar way, like there's endings where Gen shoots you, there's endings where you survive and to get away, but there's also the ending where you trap, where you fail to trap Gen and end up trapping yourself, and he's like, oh, I see. Bye. He just leaves you trapped and the game ends. Like a bit more of, I see the branches for where other endings would have happened, but I don't think they exist unless I'm missing something. So I think that's going to be it for this particular playthrough then. I'll see you guys next time Cyan makes a game, or next time someone tries to ape their style, and also the 5 million other games I play. I'm just saying that there's a theme here. If you're new here, I have previously covered Myst and the VR version of Myst. Not the VR not in VR, but that port that they made. I guess I haven't covered Myst yet, actually. I've covered real Myst and then the port of Myst. Yeah, that happened more recently. I've covered Riven and the remake of Riven, Myst 3, Myst 4, Uru, Firmament, Abduction, and in terms of fan games, Quern, which I don't remember that clearly, but I have covered it. Anyway, guys, I'm gonna be taking a break for here now. That's a great sign. It's late. I'm finishing this up after a Shattered Grail session where I'm like, I gotta finish up that last bit of what I had left in Neyyah with the endings. So it's a bit late. Forgive me. I'll see you guys next time.